The question I'm interested right now is I want to figure out how lockdown policy on January 23rd, 2020 of Wuhan in China closed down the spread of the coronavirus in China. So why I want to do this is we know that right now many countries around the world are carrying out the policy to try to make people stay at home and to mitigate the serious spreading situation of the coronavirus. But actually, I know that also people are quite they don't support this policy because first of all they are questioning about its negative economic impact, and also they are questioning about the uncertainty of whether or not this policy can effectively control the coronavirus. So, and even if restricting human movement could lead to improvements in coronavirus control, it's very difficult to empirically quantify the impact of this policy on human mobility and also the final impact on the spread of the disease. So it's also very difficult to understand the detailed patterns of how it could slow down the infectious disease spread. Um, the general question of this project is I want to quantify the causal impact of lockdown policy and its mobility restriction outcomes, with particular interest in the effect of lockdown of the city of Wuhan on January 23rd, 2020 in China on the containment of and delay of the spread of the coronavirus. So to figure this question, I think I need to finish two steps. The first step is I need to capture the impact of Wuhan lockdown on population movement, meaning how effectively it can make people sit at home and to restrict the human mobility. And the second step, I need to capture how the policy can affect the national spread of coronavirus because of the mobility restrictions. Um, so about the data, I think the most important data is the population migration data. So migration can be categorized into two groups. The first one is intercity, and the second one is within city migration. So intercity and within city population migration data can be obtained from the Baidu migration. Baidu is a search engine which is very equivalent to Google in China, and it is travel. It has a travel map that offered by the legislation engine as well. So the data is based on real-time location records for every smartphone using the company's mapping app, and thus it is a very precise way to reflect the population movements between and within cities. So overall, there are 364 cities in China. So by migration data capture near complete inflows and outflows for each city in the dataset, meaning that everyone using the map can be located, and their migration information can be collected or can be found by the engine, and also with so overall for the 364 cities, the migration dataset provides the following two information. The first one is it provides the top 100 origination cities for the population moving into the city and the corresponding percentage of inflow population that originates from each of the top 100 origination cities. So the second information is the top 100 destination cities for the population moving out of the city and the corresponding percentages of the outflow population that go into each of the top destination cities. And overall, we found that in the data, the cumulative percentage of the inflow population from the top 100 origination city and the cumulative percentage of the outflow population into the top 100 destination cities reach high up to 97% per city on average. So it's I think it's a very precise and useful data set to information about people's migration and the location change. For the data set, generally it covers for more than 120,000 pairs of cities today for more than 320 cities between January 2012 and March 12th in 2019, and between January the 1st and February 29th in 2020. So it also includes a huge amount of data involving inner-city immigration and within-city mobility. So besides it, also provides remigration intensity indicators, like the data in migration index of the city and the data out migration index of the city and the city within city migration index. And this indicators in the data set are consistent across cities and across time. And the second important part of the data we need to collect is the confirmed cases. And this data can be collected from the Chinese CDC, and it provides daily updates on confirmed dead and recovered coronavirus cases for each city each day. Since I think about the methodology, I think actually this question is about the policy shock. So I try to use the depth methodology. The first step I mentioned above is how to capture the impact of Wuhan lockdown on population movements, meaning how the lockdown policy affects people's choice to go out or not, whether to go out or not. And this can be, I think this can be measured by the equation one. On the left-hand side of this equation is our dependent variable. Actually, I think it's, I define it as a log level inflow and outflow population received by the city. I think here the notes I, G, and T means city I from a different city G at the date T, and the log level influence and the intercity inflow and within city inflow of population. Of interest of estimation is beta 2, and here treat is the dummy index for whether this flow or this location changes is from Wuhan city or not. And before and after are two dummies for states, whether this observation is before the lockdown policy or after the lockdown policy. And the new theta are two error term that captures the city specific effect and also time specific impact. About the second step, I think how the policy can affect the spread of coronavirus can be captured by equation 2. And here, the dependent variable is the change or the increase of new confirmed cases, and the explanatory variables are the two variables that we estimated using equation 1. So here beta 1 and beta 2. Oh, sorry, this is the error. This is the table. And beta 1 and beta 2 are two estimators that we are of great interest. These respectively represent the impact of the inflows from within city and intercity effects. So the expected result, I think, though it's studied about the policy and it happened right now, we can expect the result as the respective for those two steps. The first step is that we can find the lockdown of Wuhan would have a reduced inflow into Wuhan, outflow from Wuhan, and also within Wuhan movement significantly. And the second is we can find out, we might find out the lockdown of the city of Wuhan on January 23rd, 2020 would have contributed a lot to reducing the total infection cases out of Wuhan, and also the cases confirmed would have been much higher for these cities outside Hubei province, and also within Hubei was for another 16 non-Wuhan cities inside Hubei province. So that's all. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
This is actually very interesting. So the data that exists is basically people going from one city to the other, coming into that city, and some kind of index of locomotion. Is this broken down by day, by month? How is it broken down?
By day.
By day.
Yes.
Did you say day? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes, daily data.
This is very, very interesting. And there is a lot of other things you can do. Like, for example, look at the uh, danger of incidents on other cities, do a time series model on these things. This is very, very interesting. And it's nice that it's aggregate, so makes your life simpler.
Thank you. But I think I have difficulty of tracking the data. You know, there are more than 300 cities in China. I think I need to clean the data and make the data match for a city pair, the inflow and outflow. But I'm not sure how much I can finish this project, but it's worth doing.
That's okay. Just do as much what you think is reasonable. Remember, this is, as I said about the class projects, have an idea, or if you can do some of it, is great. And by the way, this is, wonder if someone already done it in China, and this is publishable stuff.
Thank you. I will work on it.
Yeah, and I had one idea here that I can't really give you a lot of information on this, but in my early days at Bell Labs, I did some work on inbound and outbound calling, and basically the idea was using data from telephone calls and say who called you and who did you call, and you use battery nets to look at that. And it was a better way to look at the economics of calling and the money AT&T was doing. You might be able to use network studies like battery nets to get some insight on the flow of the virus within China with this data. I'm not sure, but I got a lot of insight looking at the flow of telephone calls inbound, outbound, area code. AT&T doesn't work on zip; they work on switches. So looking at switches.
Hi, Anqing. So I saw that there is a study published. It's just in Google Scholar. So if you search the impact of Wuhan lockdown, there will be some papers out there. But I went through it. They just use very rudimentary analysis like ANOVA or just correlation. So I think you can use DID, which is a more mature method to look at the impact. And yeah, I think this is very interesting. And basically, this shows some evidence of the effectiveness of social distancing. And by the way, just now several fighter jets flew over our window. So now New York City has this Air Force flying over Manhattan to not celebrate, but to cheer up the frontline workers.
But back to the study. I mean, I'm very surprised about the data they have. Can you imagine? They must have data on the detailed data from telephone of everyone in the population if they can aggregate it. This is very, very, this is very, very revealing data. This is the kind of data that the Israelis confess that they are collecting on the Palestinians and on the Israelis. And this is the kind of data that here in the US, we had a lot of problems with the CIA having. And I think my other comment on this is that this is all about, it's like we talk in our GEM stuff, this is all about public good. In this case, it's definitely public good, it's not corporate surveillance.
Thank you, Professor.